calling in today, we have Bridge MCP, who is a great supporter of politics done right, a supporter of the rights of everybody. She sent me a message that I wanted her to explain why she sent this message. It's on the screen. I want to read the caption. It says, rotten potatoes and seaweed or even grass properly mixed afforded a very wholesome and nutritious food. All knew that Irishmen could live upon anything, and there was plenty grass in the field, though the potato crop should fail. That was the Duke of Cambridge, January 1846. Tell us about it.
Well, the other post says that there never was a famine. There was a genocide, which I wanted E2247 to hear. And people think, like, if America lost corn, would we all die? Would 1 million people die if you didn't have corn? No. So why did 1 million Irish people die when Spain, Italy, so many countries were sending shiploads of food, meat, and all kinds of food to Ireland to help us because we had a famine? And during then, yes, they did eat potatoes, but they ate other things. Well, the British took them away. They were the ones that controlled the actual poultry and meat. And they took it away. So they took the Irish, and like that picture shows you, why can't they eat grass? Grass is a nutrition, wholesome food. Meanwhile, they took all the shiploads of food that was coming and put it in a warehouse, and they took Irish people over to England, and they made them unload the food and gave them pennies. I mean, nothing. They didn't even give them food to eat. And they had to unload the food, and that was given to the British. It was not given back to the Irish. They killed them. That's why so many Irish left and came to this country, if they could, living in the bottom of a ship. Half of them died. But that's why they came here. So in relationship to what's going on in Israel and Palestine, it's genocide. And the British government, I think it was about 20 years ago, and I'm not going to have the numbers straight, but they were fined, I don't know if it was $5 billion or $25 million, a ridiculous amount of money for what they did to the Irish. But people think, oh, you just had a famine on potatoes. What's the big deal? That's how the British government controlled you. They separated us and controlled us, our country. And people think, oh, look at the royals. Aren't they handsome? Oh, look at the queen. Isn't she wonderful? No, they're not. They ruled everything back then, and they rule a lot now, but they lost a lot of their territories. Places became republic. They didn't want to be ruled by them anymore. They were torturous. They were horrible, horrible. I mean, look what that guy said. They can eat grass while you eat the food that Spain gave us to eat, that we had to unload for you. So it's very difficult when I see people not understanding what's going on with Palestine and the genocide that's going on. I'm not saying Israel as people are bad. We know, terrorism is wrong. You can be against terrorism and still be against the government that's doing genocide. They're doing the same thing blatantly. And no one's really talking about it. I have a very, very Jewish friend, and we had to stop talking because she said, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I said, okay, she said, we can agree to disagree. And I said, no, that's for coffee and ice cream colors. This is a fact, what's going on. I mean, even today, what is it? Netanyahu's war person quit the other day, and now he dismantled the entire war council, whatever they call these things. I mean, he knows. And the whole country, the whole world is against him. But getting back to Ireland, this happened to us, our people. And no one knows. They think it was just a famine. It was genocide. There was over 1 million people that died, and over 1 million or 2 million, I think, left, and almost 1 million people that were left sick and hungry. I mean, they almost got to the point that it didn't come to it, but they almost got to the point of eating their own. It was horrible. So that's why I wanted to send that to you, that people don't realize how bad this is, how bad it was for the Irish.
What I wanted to do, and why I wanted that in your words as well, is that history being told usually is told by the victor or the oppressor, the one who has the power to do so. And those who lived under it, they simply acquiesce to it. So we have to listen to what Netanyahu says about how bad the Palestinians are, when we know they're Palestinian terrorists and then they're the rest. The fact of the matter is, what he's effecting on Palestine right now is genocide in the name of Israel, not the Israeli. The Israeli people really are being taken into this action. But again, it's he who is evil, who is effecting the genocide. And for those of us who've lived through what some more stronger country has been able to do to a weaker country, and then propagandize it as something that it isn't. You are empathetic. You can be empathetic enough with Palestine or Gaza and the West Bank. And I noticed that the parliament in Ireland is as well. They are very sympathetic towards Palestine, and there is a history there that many don't understand. Myself being from Panama, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, way back when people don't, the IRA was labeled as terrorists incorrectly, but not really. I mean, some things were bad, but the IRA were named as terrorists. So now all of a sudden it's an international terrorist, and all they were doing was trying to fight the British Army that took over their country. I mean, the other terrorist group was the UDF, that was the Protestant people, and you can look them up in the phone book. But the IRA were outlawed and terrorists. So when you beat a person bad enough, they're either going to acquiesce or they're going to stand up and say, no, we're not doing this anymore. Enough. So back when the IRA was starting, the PLO was around, if people remember that. And the IRA and the PLO were very close in relationships with whatever ammunition and guns they were doing back and forth. That was a big thing. So the Irish have always stood up for Palestine. Unless you remember, it was always called Palestine, and they always got along, Jewish and the Palestine
Muslims,
people.
yeah.
They always got along. Muslims. They always got along until that whole 1948 stuff started. But I cannot understand how a people who went through a Holocaust, well, not those people now, I mean, their relatives, could do this to another person. That's why, the Irish don't get to be racist. They're not allowed to be, because we've gone through this stuff. We understand what goes on. It happened to us. It's never happened to this country. Could you think about just taking the northeast of the United States and saying, oh, France owns it now. Oh, you can't vote. You can't speak your language. You can't be whatever religion. You have to be this religion. You don't have jobs. You can't do this. You can't do that. And the rest of the country just sit by and be like, okay. That's what happened. And like my grandfather, he worked on the Titanic. He was a painter. And when he was born, his mother knew to give him a Protestant name, William. And they gave him a Protestant name so he would fit in. And he had to walk a big mile around in a circle so he could meet up with the other, what they call prods, to go to work on the Titanic. If you were found out that you were actually Catholic, you were burnt into that molten steel and put into that ship. My grandfather's diary says we all knew that ship was doomed. It was never going to make it anywhere. And anybody who worked on that ship was given a free ride to England on their first, before the voyage, the maiden voyage. And my grandfather wouldn't go. He was like, I'm not stepping foot on that thing. There's so many hundreds of Irish people into the hull that they found out that they were Catholic, put them into the steel, and right into the hull they went. People don't know these things. They listen to what the British government says, not what really happened. And it's happening in this country too. They're flipping like that guy you just had on, Tim Scott. Oh my God. But anyway, I digress. So I just wanted to tell you that what happened is happening in Palestine because they say it's Hamas. They can say what they want. It's not. They want them out. And this is how they're doing it.
It is amazing because powers work the same no matter who it is. And that is one of the reasons why, as you can see, even the United States doesn't have the moral authority to really bring down Netanyahu. I mean, I always bring up the story about Panama and the amount of people that got killed because there's a disagreement between the American government and Manuel Antonio Noriega in Panama. Thousands of Panamanians had to lose their lives. Thousands. that just showed that these lights had no value to us. And it's the same thing that we find that is occurring in inside of Gaza. It's the same thing that happened ultimately in Ireland. It's the same thing that happens all over when these powers take command, and they're the ones who write the history. They're the ones who indoctrinate their people into not hearing truths. But thank you. I wanted you to come on and tell this story because, again, very few people know that really the potato famine was really a British genocide. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.